I feel like my first step is always to take a brand new file, but I always clean underneath first. Not like this, because that's going to start to dig into this. I want to get underneath, like so. Same thing for the other side, underneath, like so. When you're working with long nails, always supporting with a couple of fingers. That way your client's finger isn't all loose. You have some support on top. That way you can get in how you want to. Next, I'm always going in for my free edge to crispen it up. So try to think very up and down as you would to the table, as opposed towards you, because if you do towards you, it's going to make a different shape. If you go like this, you're going to be filing that way. So keeping it really flat with the table. Just until you see that line really start to be square. So from now, I'm going to take okay, so whenever I finish my full sets, I'm always looking at what needs to be done. If my apex is really high, my end is really low, I know I need to focus on my apex. If my side is a little bit crooked, I know I need to focus on one side more than the other. But whenever I'm first taking my file, when I say I work just from the middle to the free edge, this is the small area I'm talking about, which is just right there. Just straight down the middle. I'm keeping the file just right there. I'm not going here. I'm keeping it just along this line. When I work on my edges, you're pulling that little piece of skin back that they do have, and this is the area I mean by your edges. For me, this area, which should really be like the center of your nail as far as like how straight it looks, is always last. So this whole area here and here is last. And when I file, hopefully I'm able to like kind of show you guys more. So again, taking my file flat, just like this. Looking down to see the roundness and what needs to be taken away. Working a little bit on my apex. And once it's smooth, that's it. Taking my file and now going along the sides, as I said, like so. And a lot of this is just the debulking, really in this area, because sometimes I tend to apply acrylic too much right there. So I just feather it out to give it the square shape. Like that. Just doing the same thing I just did right here on the opposite side with these little lines. Again, being a nail tech, I feel like is all about finding your style and the way you want to do nails. If you don't want crispy lines, if you don't want a high profile apex, this wouldn't be the way you file. You'll have to find your own way. So now that I've done this and both of my sides, you're going to be left with like a small ledge, and you could always feel it because it's the only part you haven't filed. And this is when you just blend the two together. Same thing with the other side. And I don't get too close with my hand file to the cuticle just because I know my files are sharp. So I save that for my e-file. Because I can always go in with like an extra fine sanding band, or drill bit, and get up close to that, and that'd be totally okay. On this side, I do notice I still have a little bit of a ledge, so I'm going to be rounding this out into it to make it square. So same thing here. This is a coffin, so the look for a coffin is going to be a little different. What's wrong? Oh. Look for a coffin is going to be a little different. You have to remember coffin is tapered. So let me see if I can. When I hold my file straight, you see how the file doesn't touch all the way at the end. You have a space right here. You don't want to start getting in the habit of making it touch, because then you're going to slim the nail on one side and you go on this side. You see how it still has a space? You go on this side, then your nail is going to be wonky. That hurt it? So just trying to keep in mind that you want to keep that shape. So let's just start with our underneath. Supporting that nail with 2 fingers, especially when they're longer. Doing your free edge. Doing your top. I did build this apex a little higher, so I am going to focus a lot on that just because I didn't want it to be up that high. It looks a little funny. And then working my way down for the rest. You can see pretty clear as to what was touched with the file and what wasn't. So all this here is still exactly how you laid it. You can see. And so to debulk the apex, I built it up a little too high, is just going to be focusing in this portion from here to here. So taking that file and keeping it just like this, at an angle. Just like that. Now, crispening up the bottom half, I'm no longer working up here. Almost keeping your file just like this on this part and on this part. That way you can leave this alone. Because if you keep contact all the way, you're still going to be shaving this away. And this away is going to get thinner. Then you're going to get that little divot you get. But keeping it only at the edge on both sides make sure that you're only getting the edge. Doing my edges. And when you're working with coffin, you can also have the opportunity just to focus on from here downward. I know a lot of people, I feel like they say like, oh, keep track of how many times you file on this side. If you do this side 6, do this side 6. It's not even that serious. It's just about like looking at the nail like, okay, I feel like that looks good, so I don't have to keep filing on that side. I need to focus on the other side, and it'll be totally okay. So you could definitely tell the difference. This is more square. This has a little taper to it. And then your stiletto. Stiletto is always the easiest because you're not nearly doing as much work. You're really just working on your apex because the shape is done at the end. Stiletto, you are keeping contact the whole way because it's not the same as a coffin. Coffin has a slow taper. Stiletto is like a very, like basically a triangle that comes to a direct point. I don't file as much underneath on the stiletto because then you're going to weaken your tip and you're not going to have any support on the end. And then I just go in with the apex. I like that really sharp, pointy look that if you would literally were to be moving too quick, you would probably poke your own eye out. And that's just the look I like to have. So keeping my file away from the tip just so I don't dull out that point. And once it's go over it once, you're really done because there's not a whole bunch of acrylic right here to have to file away. It's no point to have to keep going over and over and over and over when the bulk of your nail anyway is at your apex. Just like that. And then a short square, you don't have as much room to work with. So I do keep contact the entire time on my sides. And I do slightly still go underneath, especially if I made it a little bit too bulky. But let me see, how can I show? When I say underneath on a short square, because these can turn coffin really quick, it's really underneath. You're not focusing here at all. Your file is, I don't know, like a, I don't know, if you were to be scooping up a hamburger that's on the grill, you'll keep it flat. You'll keep it flat with the nail just like this, flat with the nail. Then when I want to do my sides, my file is like this. Same thing with my free edge, just crisping it up. And when you start to learn these lines with your file, you start to see your shape build so much easier because you actually understand how to make lines with the file and how to keep your lines with the file. Just like that. And this is a natural overlay that I did, or at least like the look of a natural overlay. It has hardly any apex, as you can see. Really thin, really natural. This is something that doesn't involve a lot of filing, but you can see how it kind of has a lip right here. This is just going to be a matter of smoothing. I would never take my file and go like this because you're already going to lose the little bit of acrylic you have here. It's just about going on top when you have a natural overlay and rounding out that acrylic to make it look really thin, to make it look like it's growing out of the nail itself. Alright, that's that. I'm going to be taking my drill, switching my bit to the three that I'm really using after any acrylic is going to be the mandrel with the sanding band and the extra fine with the safety bit on the edge. and then an extra fine that's just a square to seal the cuticles, to smoothen out the apex, and then to bring everything back together. I'm going to start off with the extra fine drill bit with the safety on a low speed. And you can see how I left the black. That's the area. That's the only real area I'm going after, is that area right here. Just to clean it up and bring it all together. And I just kind of drag it out just a tad. Going from sidewall, kind of around the cuticle, back to the other sidewall. And you could tell on each finger, I didn't go close at all to the cuticle with my hand file, like at all. On every finger, I didn't get close to that skin because I know I'm going to go in with this. Now, a lot of clients are scared of the drill at their cuticle, so using that strong peripheral vision, you kind of have to look at their face because you can see the fear in their eyes most times. You really can. You really can. Like, they really be scared, so you have to just ask them, like, sometimes before I even start, like, hey, are you okay with me using the drill around your cuticle? They'll tell you right then and there. Like, they have traumatic experiences, okay, at these chop shops. We have to be understanding as nail techs that, like, not every client is, like, okay with everything. So if they're not, I would just use a hand buff, which is like the little square buffers, and try to do this step as best as I can. But also try to build that trust with them, like, hey, I feel you, but just let me try, and I can almost guarantee you'll be all right. All right, switching to my bit I use to seal the cuticle. This does not have a safety on it, so you do have to be mindful, but it's an extra fine bit, so it's not even finna be that serious. I actually also do take this bit. You can see how it's kind of chunky at my ends. I'll go a little faster, and I go, turn your hands to the side. I go at an angle like this underneath the nail. And then I'll go only around the cuticle with this. And because this is an extra fine bit, there really is no pressure to this around. Like, it's not going to cut nobody at all. It's super soft. Lastly, making it super easy and just going in with, not my glove, just on a low speed, something like a 3. And I just take this all the way down the nail to bring everybody back together like it's church. Just bring it all down. It's really just to smooth out any of those imperfections I might have made with my hand file. And this is my end result as far as my coffin, my square, my stiletto, and my medium square, and my overlay being completely filed. Look at the cuticles, clean, no flooding, crisp lines, nice pointy stiletto. Leave any comments y'all have down below. Thank y'all so much for watching. Bye.